And in bone-crushing disappointment, the Phoenix Suns season finally seemed to come to an end. And this season being a failure with anything short of an NBA championship, this brings me back to something that Stephen A. Smith said earlier this year.
And me personally, in all honesty, got a lot of love for Monty Williams as well. He's my coach of the year last year. We know what he brings to the table. I just feel like for at least the immediate moment, their window was there. And even though they're winning crazy right now with 16 straight, I think their chance to win the title was last year.
Now, at the time, while I did shake this off, as the Phoenix Suns are a very young team, Chris Paul hasn't shown any real decline yet, so there's no real way to know that if this is true, so it's kind of a big guess by Stephen A. This somehow turned out to be one of his more introspective and better takes for the entire year. And that brings in a lot of questions, so let's talk about some of the more pressing matters with the Phoenix Suns. So the first thing we're going to talk about is this Deandre Ayton situation. Because as of right now, Deandre Ayton is one of the Phoenix Suns' better young players, but he doesn't have this max contract extension since, the Phoenix Suns decided they weren't going to give it to him yet. And right now, with how well he's improved in the regular season, you thought that this would be enough to actually garner him that max contract. But with the extreme drop-off in the postseason, and with, showing that he needs to be force-fed buckets a lot more than he can get them himself, right now, that begs into question that is he truly worth that max contract money? I'm very much thinking the Phoenix Suns are going to give it to him. You can't not retain a player like Deandre Ayton, because even without being one of the top 10 centers in the NBA, the top 5 centers, he's still a really good center, and it's very hard to find talent like that at the 5 position right now. But with so much money tied up into Chris Paul, Mikal Bridges, Devin Booker right now, this will severely hamper the Phoenix Suns' ability to go in free agency to pick up any pieces that can truly help them contend. What now seems like a very bad decline for CP3 at the age of 37, it seems like as of right now is when you would need somebody like DeAndre Ayton to fully take that leap into NBA superstardom to be the 1-2 punch near Devin Booker, and you just don't have the confidence that he'll be able to do that right now. While we're on the subject of Chris Paul, while in the regular season this year, it seemed like Chris Paul was very much still somewhere near being a very good and very productive guard in this NBA where you can rank him among the top 10 point guards in the league. And so far in the NBA playoffs, or with his playoff run ending, CP3 has looked, less than a shell of his former self. Even last season, this is a very steep decline. And while you can probably add this up as his injury and he really wasn't able to get in rhythm, that really doesn't hold up weight when he had a 14 for 14 game in the first round, and it seems like when you play the upper echelons of teams and they either force you to defend and play offense, your body simply cannot keep up and you can't give the same level of production that people would expect from you to be a championship level guard. And with so much money tied into CP3 again, if you pay DeAndre Ayton his money, Devin Booker has his money, Mikal Bridges has his money, it's going to be very hard to find a guard to replace CP3. And I'm not saying CP3 isn't a productive player anymore, I'm just saying that he cannot be one of the top 3 players on this team anymore. You're going to need somebody alongside Devin Booker or DeAndre Ayton to be that next best player. Because at the age of 37, Chris Paul looks like he's entering his twilight years in the NBA very rapidly, and you can't expect a good game for a number 2 like Chris Paul anymore almost every single night. Somebody else is going to have to carry the load, and Chris Paul is going to have to take even more of a backseat throughout his entire NBA career. And this was the concern when he got his contract in the offseason. And right now, it's seemingly coming back to bite Phoenix. And while we're on it, we can talk about the Phoenix Suns' worst issue, which I think is their contract situation, because they have enough good players on this team they can move maybe 1 or 2 guys to bring in another star that can definitely help this team win. But with that being said, as of right now, you have nearly $100 million tied in CP3, Devin Booker, Mikal Bridges, and Jay Crowder next season, while also having got your Sarge contract on the books, and Landry Shamet and Cameron Johnson. It looks like you're the most 2 movable pieces this season, or in the off season to pick up anybody else. But with that being said, it doesn't seem like you move somebody like Jay Crowder without adding somebody like Cameron Johnson, somebody that was integral to your team winning this season so far. So it's really hard to see the Phoenix Suns making any drastic moves in free agency that truly breaks them above the means to win a championship. And once they are forced to pay DeAndre Ayton his money, because I definitely think he will be getting that max deal in the offseason, this book is going to look even worse, and you're going to be even worse position to actually bring in any players. So right now, I do think the Phoenix Suns championship window with at least Chris Paul has closed. As of right now, the Phoenix Suns are extremely young right now. Devin Booker is only 25. Deandre Ayton's only 23. Mikal Bridges is 25. Cameron Johnson is 26. Overall, this team is young across the board, and they can have time to grow and get better. But as of right now, I do think that championship aspirations with Chris Paul probably has closed, in my opinion, at least with Chris Paul as one of their better players. And is going to take some magic in the offseason to move around a lot of these contracts to build an even more ready championship roster. But with that being said, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I wouldn't worry too hard on them. They've made some great moves to make this team, so I do think they can probably do buy-in and, you know, find a way to work this roster around. But it still seems like a very big problem that they need to fix. So I am a little bit worried about the Phoenix Suns' future. But with that being said, it's FLB, that's my time, and I'm out.